Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm joining in with a YouTube hop with DearlyDee's Patreon. Each month she challenges her patrons to a variety of creative challenges, and today I'm joining in with a few of them to share how each of us took on her August sketch challenge. I'm using Rose's Studio Keeping Cool collection, and this is the sketch here on my iPad. It will be available as well on my Instagram. We're sharing this one, although normally it's only her patrons who get to use the sketches. So it's got a long title down the left, which I've already made up to make the layout go a little bit quicker, and then the photo I'm going to put down on the right hand corner. So here I am just showing you all the bits from the collection that I'm thinking I might use. I've picked out some embellishments because there are so many embellishments. I've cut my photograph into a circle as it is on the sketch, and cut a circle of one of the pattern papers to go behind it to mount that. So this I also thought I might use the fringing scissors, which my lovely friend Wendy has lent me, to put a bit more texture onto the layout. So popping the sketch up in front of me, and here I go. I decided to use a piece of white card for the background, and I'm just popping the photo onto the mat there, and then I decided I'd start off by doing the strips down the left hand side. So having cut the two pattern papers that I want, I decided to use the fringing scissors on this green paper just to give a bit more texture into the layout, and popping that down. Now this photo was taken at Bateman's, which is a National Trust property, and it's actually the property where Rudyard Kipling lived with his family, and it's inside, it's all decorated, and all the furniture is as it was when he lived there. It's absolutely fascinating, and the gardens were beautiful. So for my title, what I decided to do was I looked through various Rudyard Kipling poems, and this is the last line of the first verse of one of the poems, and I just loved the sentiment of it, but the glory of the garden lies in more than meets the eye, because the gardens there were absolutely beautiful. Well, I will just have to apologise for, while I was recording this, the sun was going in and out, so it does keep flaring, so I do apologise. I work in a conservatory, so obviously there's lots of glass around, and the lighting wasn't brilliant. Also, for some reason, it's not hugely in focus, and I don't know why. I don't know whether my lens was mucky, but I didn't obviously notice any of that until I'd finished recording, and I couldn't create the layout again. But anyway, here I am. I've stuck down the two blocks of paper that were in the sketch, and popped the circle photo on that second one. And I popped the photo up on some foam just to add a bit more dimension there. And now I'm auditioning the embellishments that I've got. Wasn't quite sure where I was going to put them. There were two rectangular sort of bits on the sketch there on the right hand side, so I decided to use a couple of word phrases, phrase strips on there for that. And then there was a ticket, which I thought was good because we had to pay to, well, we didn't have to pay to go in because we're National Trust members, but obviously we paid originally to be National Trust members, so I added that up at the top with the flower. And then in this bottom left hand corner I actually made quite a big embellishment cluster and added some leaves, a dragonfly, another sort of a ticket piece, just to balance out the top right hand piece. Going through the embellishments here, seeing what else I wanted. I auditioned a couple of bits here because I wasn't quite sure about that white circle wreath, whether that was right. Took it out and just added in the flowers and the leaves, and decided I actually preferred that, so I stuck with that, but then wanted to add a leaf up at the top to balance that out a bit. Tried a couple of the other word strips there to see if they looked any better, but preferred the ones that I had. I think one of them might be a puffy one, I can't actually remember, and I haven't got the layout in front of me, which I normally do when I'm doing voiceovers, and I'd forgotten to do that. Here we are. I'm looking at the puffy words here to see if anything was going to be suitable, but popped it down whilst I just decided to stick the embellishments in place that I've actually already decided on. So as I say, it was absolutely glorious day when we visited Bateman's. The gardens there were absolutely beautiful. We had a lovely walk around the gardens and then a look inside the house as well, which was fascinating, seeing Rudyard Kipling's desk. Also, he won the Nobel Peace Prize for Literature. I can't remember the year, but that was in one of the rooms as well. So it was great to see that. And the bedroom of his son, who was killed in the First World War, and the last letter that he wrote home. So that was interesting. And when Rudyard Kipling was living there, he put the house back to how it would have been. It was actually a sort of a Tudor house, and he bought lots of Tudor furniture to make the house as it would have been. So it's quite dark inside, but very homely, one of the homelier National Trust places I've been to. So back to the layout, adding on a few more bits and pieces. I had a look at the these titles here to see if any of them would work, and they didn't, but I did like one of the puffy word strips there, so I decided to add that on, and that then changed my idea for going down the right hand side a bit there. You'll see in a moment I actually add some more word strips. So whereas on the sketch there were only 2 strips there, I actually end up with 5 strips going down the page, which you'll see in a moment. At the moment here I'm just going through the embellishments and seeing what else I want to tuck in to make those embellishment clusters a bit bigger. I've added some hearts, a few more leaves, and now I'm going to stick down those hearts. I hadn't actually stuck them down, and stick in the leaves. Just put that green, dark green leaf up there, as I had some dark green down at the bottom to, as I say, try and balance that out. Grabbed the enamel dots and started to use them, and then decided no, I didn't want to use them, that they weren't right. But actually I go back and do use some of those in the end. So here I go with the puffy word strips here, which I decided there were so many good ones here, and I thought, no, I'm not going to keep these for another layout, which I tend to do. Let's use them, get them done. So having a check of the sketch to see what else I needed to do, and there were some splashes, I can't think what you call dots, what I'm doing here. So I grabbed my metallic paints and just did a few little splashes here and there in a green. Some of the dots weren't quite big enough, so I went in and actually painted those down. So I had been thinking of doing enamel dots for that, but then used the paint, dried them off a bit, and then having done that, I decided to put my journaling in, which filled up the bottom half of that. On Dee's sketch, the title went right down to the bottom of the page, but I decided to finish my title sort of 2/3 of the way down to leave me space to do journaling, because I love to do a lot of journaling on my layouts, as you've probably noticed. So that gave me the room to do the journaling there. Needed to know the date of when we went, so I grabbed my traveller's notebook, which I'd been keeping whilst we were away for our trip, and that gave me the date. So I was able to pop that on and thought I was finished, and then decided to go back in with the enamel dots then and pop some of those into each cluster. So there we are, that's my layout finished. I love doing a sketch challenges are one of my favourite things to do. If you'd like a new sketch every month plus some other creative challenges, then please consider joining DearlyDee's Patreon. I will put a link in my description box below. Here you can see the fringed edge of my layout, giving that bit of texture. Dee always has some wonderful things on her Patreon, well worth the money. Highly recommend it. And also please go and have a look at what all the other lovely ladies have been doing today. Bye for now.